Democratic socialist, that's how she identifies herself. Janeese Lewis George holds a commanding lead in the Democratic primary for D.C. mayor. She's up nearly 20 points with 68% of the vote in. D.C., this is the first time it's done so, uses ranked choice voting, which would only come into play if no candidate receives a majority of first-place votes. Nikole Killion has been following this race for us. She recently spoke with Janeese Lewis George. And it's worth pointing out, to remind the audience quickly, here in the District of Columbia, if you win the Democratic primary, you are essentially the next mayor of this city. And the next mayor of this city has to deal with the reality of the Trump presidency. And you talked to Janeese Lewis George about that.
Yeah, that's right. And it's quite a major factor in this race because keep in mind, just last week, President Trump said that he may consider a federal takeover of the city if she's elected. And she called that an attack on democracy. That being said, though, you know, this democratic socialist movement has really gained steam. We've seen people like Zohran Mamdani, of course, win very decisively in New York City. She has a fairly commanding lead thus far in the count. Although
race has not been called. That's an important.
Kenyon McDuffie has said we've got to wait for every vote to be counted. But, you know, it really goes to show the momentum that she has garnered in this race. I did ask her what her strategy would be in running the city if she's elected. Take a listen.
Why do you think a democratic socialist like yourself is best positioned to run the District of Columbia?
You know, because I think this moment calls for that level of moral clarity and courage. It calls for this level of ingenuity, and it calls for a leader who is focused on putting people first and delivering on the small things, right? Sewer socialism is talking about just making sure your 911 system works, your 311 works, your trash gets picked up, your snow gets plowed. Those basic things that make a difference in everyone's lives and delivering for residents in all 8 wards in the city.
Now, even though she's vowing to hold the line there and protect D.C.'s autonomy, at the same time, she did tell me that she would be willing to meet with the president, that she would be willing to foster or cultivate a relationship with the Trump administration if it can help the district residents and help get things done in the city. But obviously, when it comes to D.C.'s autonomy, that is an area that's a red line for her.
Do we have the sound of her talking about how she would deal with Trump? Please run that. I want to jump in and hear that.
An attack on one of us is an attack on all of us. And I think that's really the crux of this, is that we deserve free and fair elections. We are a community who, unfortunately, because of our lack of statehood, are most vulnerable. And I try to emphasize to people, D.C. is the capital of this country. And so it takes us fighting back as the capital city. And that's why this moment is so critical in history for D.C.
So, again, that was her response to the president's comments, of course, last week. So we will have to see kind of how things play out. Obviously, we know Mayor Bowser, who the eventual will be the, who decided not to seek re-election. Whoever fills her shoes will, again, have to navigate this relationship with the president. Bowser took a lot of heat for that, and so that's why it has become such a critical factor in this race.
And that relationship, we don't know, but it may be a little bit more contentious than it was under Mayor Muriel Bowser. Nikole Killion, thank you very much.